First on BBC One, Prince Andrew becomes part of Jimmy Savile's dream team.
Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we're looking at the most chilling scandals involving the royals from 2000 to today. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Their private estates, the Duchies of Lancaster and Cornwall, make Charles and William £50 million a year.
Assassination attempt.
Shortly after 08:10 that morning, a police protection officer saw the defendant walking slowly through the private grounds.
On Christmas Day 2021, a masked teenager climbed into the grounds of Windsor Castle armed with a crossbow on a mission, in his own words, to assassinate the Queen. He claimed that it was revenge for the 1919 Amritsar massacre, carried out 7 years before Her Majesty was even born.
The officer realized that the defendant was holding a crossbow. He drew his taser and shouted for the defendant to drop the crossbow and get to his knees.
It later came out in court that he'd been encouraged in his plan by a chatbot hosted on Replica. The royals usually head over to Sandringham for Christmas, but that year, which ended up being the Queen's last one, she was in residence at Windsor Castle.
One of them had suggested that Charles was instead socially isolated. He was suffering from a lack of purpose and a lack of intimacy.
The culprit was ultimately diagnosed with psychosis and sentenced to 9 years in custody under the Treason Act. He's currently being held in Broadmoor. The fake sheikh.
Posing as an Arab sheikh, Mazza Mahmood helped change the face of British tabloid journalism.
Along with hacking into the phones of anyone and everyone, the news of the world resorted to a wider range of underhanded tactics to get its scoops. This included sending a journalist pretending to be a sheikh to entrap celebrities. One of those celebrities was Princess Michael of Kent, wife of Prince Michael of Kent, himself a grandson of George V and a first cousin of the late Queen.
Our investigation has revealed serious wrongdoing at the heart of some of his undercover stings. We're identifying him tonight to make it more difficult for him to entrap people in the future.
Princess Michael was tricked by the journalist Mazza Mahmood into mocking Princess Di in 2005. She described Diana as nasty and even insulted Kate Middleton and Chelsea Davy, Prince Harry's then girlfriend. Be careful what you say to strange men offering to buy your country pile. They might be journos.
This is the fake sheikh and his entourage, preparing to meet John Alford at the Savoy.
Princess Anne's dogs. The royals love dogs, but those dogs aren't as well behaved as you'd like, considering they belong to such devoted owners.
It was alleged that Princess Anne's dog bit two children aged 7 and 12 as they took a walk in Windsor Great Park near the Queen's residence.
The Princess Royal found this out the hard way when one of her beloved bull terriers attacked and bit two children in 2002. For the first time in over a century, a member of the royal family had to show their face in court, and Anne pleaded guilty to the charge of having a dangerously out-of-control dog. She paid £500 in compensation and an additional £500 fine.
In court, Princess Anne only spoke to confirm her name and plead guilty to a charge of having an uncontrollable dog.
However, some people thought that if anybody non-royal had a dog that had attacked children, the dog likely would have been destroyed. The same dog, Dottie, later killed one of the Queen's corgis, Pharaoh.
The English Bull Terrier has been given a reprieve after the princess's lawyers argued that a reenactment at Windsor Castle showed the dog was excitable and not aggressive.
Harry the Nazi.
Germany had an empire, didn't they? What about this?
I don't know. Maybe cover the swastika?
Known as the party prince in his youth, Prince Harry's life was used as relentless tabloid fodder, including the time he was photographed nude in Las Vegas. But in 2005, he was also photographed at a private party wearing an Afrika Korps uniform, making the front pages. He publicly apologized, describing it as a poor choice of costume. Years later, in his Netflix documentary series, he revisited the incident, calling it one of the biggest mistakes of his life, saying that he'd learned his lesson. But the costume still dragged into the public eye the kinds of things we all already assumed were going on at aristocratic parties. The whole saga was later dramatized in The Crown.
Swastika armband 2 weeks before Holocaust Memorial Day.
Cash for access.
But don't try and trick me now, because I'm not going to play this game. Delete that bit. John, can you just delete it, please, that bit? Because I don't want to go down this...
Duchess, I'm
too
asking very
tabloidy.
Sarah Ferguson, who will no longer be using the Duchess of York title, has had many public embarrassments. In the 90s, she was notoriously photographed with a man kissing her toes. But years later, she was still courting controversy.
£500,000 when you can, to me. Open doors. Yeah.
In 2010, Mazza Mahmood, this time pretending to be a businessman rather than a sheikh, got Fergie on tape saying she'd get him access to Prince Andrew for the low price of £500,000.
I'm going to take 5 minutes.
I'm sorry?
No, nothing. I'm just going to take 5 minutes.
The following year, she was shown the footage in an interview with 60 Minutes, prompting her to furiously walk out. She went on to try and sue News Group newspapers owned by Rupert Murdoch for £45 million in damages.
It's excruciating to live with past mistakes. It is so difficult. I always would like to change so many things in my past, but I can't.
Megxit.
But through that picture that we were all seeing, behind the scenes, obviously, there was a lot of drama going on.
In 2020, only shortly before the entire world shut down, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, announced their intention to step back as senior members of the royal family. Suffice it to say, the rest of the family, known as the firm to insiders, weren't happy.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
The latter.
This came after months of speculation with stories about racist comments made by other royals about Markle, and various attempts by the Sussexes to try and maintain their privacy. They've now been living in California for years, after Markle spoke candidly about her mental health in a widely publicized interview with Oprah Winfrey. They've provided many more insights about life inside Buckingham Palace in the years since.
Not only was I not being protected, but that they were willing to lie to protect other members of the family, but they weren't willing to tell the truth to protect me and my husband.
Royal landlords.
Thousands of documents obtained by dispatches reveal how hard up government departments, schools, and even the NHS are helping to keep the cash rolling in for Charles and William.
In 2024, Dispatches released a documentary that lifted the lid on just how much money the duchies of Lancaster and Cornwall were making for the King and the Prince of Wales.
The duchy charged the fire brigade £612,000 to lease the land.
It's been claimed that the royals are the biggest private landowners in the world, with 6.6 billion acres of land in their portfolio, and when you hear who their tenants are, your blood will boil. The NHS, the army, various charities, and even prisons built on the land are all paying rent to the duchies, straight into the coffers of the top royals.
And Charles even made money from Poundbury's deceased, as he charged Dorchester Town Council a one-off payment for the local cemetery.
Worse, many residential tenants with Prince William as their landlord report that their homes are in a state of severe disrepair with damp and mould.
Charles even earns £300 a year from a pipe adjoining a sewage works that discharges effluent into the dock.
The Princess of Wales disappears. In 2024, the Princess of Wales disappeared from the public eye, leading to widespread memes and speculation, particularly from celebrities and news outlets across the pond.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery.
People let their imaginations run away with them, with some even making jokes that Kate might have died, with the royals supposedly covering it up. They were forced to eat their words when Her Royal Highness released a public statement explaining that she was undergoing chemotherapy for cancer, and that was why she hadn't been seen in the public for a while.
In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous.
The disturbing element to this was people relishing in their wild guesses, jumping on a meme bandwagon without considering that there might have been a very serious and private reason for her seclusion.
My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment.
Poverty grants. In 2010, some suspect memos were released after a Freedom of Information Act request, revealing that the Queen had tried to persuade the government to give her a grant in order to heat Buckingham Palace back in 2004. The poverty grants were designed to go to public buildings like schools and hospitals so that it was easier to keep those places warm, and the government firmly told her that they were not designed to foot Buckingham Palace's £1 million annual heating bill or replace its aging boilers. The kicker was that the memo revealed just how concerned they were about public backlash. In the end, it was only the royals who faced any, because the government wisely didn't approve the request. Prince Andrew.
Andrew makes the headlines, doesn't he? It doesn't matter what the royal family is doing. If Andrew's in the news as he is now, then he tops the headlines.
From Epstein Island to Woking's now world-famous branch of Pizza Express, is there anywhere Prince Andrew hasn't allegedly been? He was a known associate of Jeffrey Epstein for years, but we now know that when he said he'd cut all contact, he was lying. As was Fergie, who's also been tarnished now that an email calling Epstein a, quote, supreme friend after his conviction has been published.
It was after the Queen had seen what the interview contained that I think it dawned on her before it dawned on him.
Andrew has now given up all of his titles, including the Duke of York, years after he'd already been pushed into giving up his HRH. There's still no way to legally strip him of them, but this has supposedly followed serious pressure from both the King and Prince William. They must have really made him sweat.
It's hard to see where he goes from here. I think, we may be looking at him being marginalised from the royal family.
What do you think of the royals? Are they a boon for tourism or not worth the money? Let us know in those comments below.